All right. So you guys wanted to do this actually. Laura, you reached out to me after Russell did, but you guys like, hey, are we gonna say anything about World War III? And I said, yeah, I guess. Well, what do you guys think? I have a little bit of stuff prepared, but I'll defer to you guys this time since you guys were chomping at the bit to do this. So whoever wants to go can go.
Um, I don't have like. There's nothing I specifically want to say. I just things are coming in so fast, and I was having a hard time trying to find info that wasn't 12 hours old, but just obsolete at this point. And um, I thought about just trying to tune into a bunch of 24-hour news shit, and then maybe start my own watch party. But then it occurred to me you guys might be doing something similar, so I thought maybe we could just like all joint live research at the same time and
Well, I mean, I saw Glenn Greenwald did a 90-minute segment. I haven't been watching any of the coverage today. I did come across what I thought was a really good piece by Caitlin Johnstone, which I could start by just going over that because, I mean, she's fantastic. And, I know it's going to come off as distasteful to all the shit libs that I'm going to be referencing one of, in their mind, the most notorious Putin puppets there is. I mean, they call Caitlin Johnson a Putin stooge all the time, but I'm sorry. I think she makes a lot of fantastic points in this. She gives a 12-point outline, and I'll just start reading, and you guys could jump in wherever you want. The most important point is point number one. Some thoughts. One, this whole thing could very easily have been avoided with a little bit of diplomacy. The only reason that didn't happen was it would have meant the US empire taking a teensy weensy step back from its agenda of total planetary domination. I've seen
yeah,
people
I
call
agree
it
with that
sad
one.
or unfortunate that Western powers didn't make basic, low cost, high yield concessions like guaranteeing no NATO membership for Ukraine and having Kiev honor the Minsk agreement. But it's not sad and it's not unfortunate. It's enraging that, pardon me, that they did this deserves nothing but pure, unadulterated, white hot rage. All right, so let's just stop right there for a second. That's
So I
my
have
take.
a yeah.
This was avoidable, is the bottom line. We
Mm-hmm.
heard people talking about, who's the villain here. Well, obviously, you could, okay, so Putin is the villain here. Great, we all get that.
Technically, no. I think Biden's the villain
Okay,
here.
well, look, it's a situation where if a guy comes into a bank, right, with a loaded gun and says, empty the drawer or everyone in this bank gets it. What do? You empty the fucking drawer.
Right.
It's only money. You don't get a whole bank full of people killed over what's in the drawer. Another point I would make is this reminds me, look, Putin is a gangster. He's a gangster, and this was a gangster move. This is Tony Soprano realizing that the guy who owes you $45,000 worth of gambling debt has a sporting goods store that you can bust out and loot for all it's worth.
Right.
And that's what he did. And when you talk about diplomacy, Joe Biden said he wasn't willing to call Vladimir Putin. Well, one, why the fuck not? Number two, why not call the president of Ukraine and say, hey, listen,
Everybody.
you got to listen. Our hand is, we have a weak hand here. We can't play this hand here. We can't do this right now. We're moving the missiles out. You say you're not joining NATO. We strongly advise you do that. And if you don't do that, you're on your own. We can't do this right now. We're sorry. We got owned. We got owned. We got owned by a guy who feels like he saw an opportunity to own our ass. And he owned our ass. And by the way, one of the reasons he saw that opportunity was because Joe dipshit Biden ignored the general's advice before pulling out of Afghanistan. He embarrassed himself and the empire on the world stage. They saw a vulnerability and they pounced on it. And if Biden had the courage of his convictions that he did show in the Afghanistan pullout, which is to say, sorry, folks, we're taking this one on the chin. We lost. If he had done what would be the logically consistent extension of that here and said, yeah, listen, Ukraine, no dice, no NATO, no missiles, we're out. You win. Take it. Now, if he invades anyway, that's a totally different story. Right?
I
that's a totally different story.
So, yeah.
But you had a chance to give him what he wants and avoid this, and to leave that on the table and allow this to happen is like Johnson said there, just it is enraging.
No, I've been having this discussion for. Sorry, Russell, can I step in for 1 second?
No,
I've been having this discussion for like 2 days with one of my really good political comrades, a leftist down in the South. So she's trying to do some good work. And this is one of the things her and I fundamentally disagree on. She still sees the U.S. as like inherently the good guy. And I'm like, I've done enough history and done enough digging into U.S. history that like, no, we're almost never the good guys.
Well, there are no good guys. This is a
That's
world
true.
full of tough guys. This is not a nice world full of nice people.
That's
I
true.
wish every world leader were Martin Luther King, who was a nice, reasonable, compassionate person with a high empathy and regard for human life. That's not the world we live in. And if you want to live by those standards and judge foreign policy decisions by those standards, then you should probably try and save up enough money to buy a rocket ship off of Jeff Bezos and find another planet to live on, because that's not this planet. That's not this world. That's just not the world we live in. We live in a world of gangsters and villains in high places. That's how they get there. That's how they get there. You want to root for the good guy? Listen, all the people are praying for Ukraine now because the TV men and the TV women told them to pray for Ukraine. How many national prayers for Yemen have there been over the last few years? We aided in the bombing and starvation of now 250,000 people, many of them children, in Yemen.
Keaton, it doesn't count when we do it.
Well, that's what I mean. But
if we're responsible, it doesn't count. So,
but the point I'm making here, so because I know you've been chomping at the bit to chime in, but the reason I bring that up is not to do a whataboutism, right, or anything like that. It's to show that you want to live in a world of heroes and villains. There is no such place, and so therefore, the fact that Putin is in the wrong here is fucking irrelevant. It's fucking irrelevant. What's relevant is this could have been avoided. This could have been avoided if we had done what the fuck he wanted, which would not have cost us that much. It's the money in the drawer. That's all we had to do was give him the money in the drawer. And we couldn't do that because it was too embarrassing for Joe Biden and the United States empire.
And the argument I'm getting back is that wouldn't have worked. And I feel like...
Who cares? You try it.
Right. Exactly. Like, worth a shot. What do you literally nothing to lose.
But it took decades to get here. It took decades of betraying the agreements that we made with the old Soviet Union when it was being dismantled. James Baker said not 1 inch east, that NATO would not move at all towards Russia. That it would
How
not
many
move
inches do you
where
think
it was? Right. So we didn't honor that. And if you understand anything about Russian history, you know that creeping up on its western border is going to make them very nervous because they have historically been repeatedly invaded that way. Also, it's rubbing it in. It's taking advantage. It's doing exactly. We handled the post-Cold War exactly wrong. We humiliated a former imperial power by taking over its former satellites, incorporating them into NATO, moving our troops closer to their borders, putting our missiles in, installing Yeltsin, which it's always funny to me when they were talking about Russia interfering in our elections. Look at some history. We interfered in the Russian elections plenty pre-Putin when we
not just Russia, like we interfere in elections all over the world.
Not just Russia, but we're so obsessed with Russia. In a lot of ways, the way that we handled the post-Cold War is the reason that it ended in Putin. It's the reason Russia ended up with Putin, because they saw that the West was not going to give them a fair shake. We were going to treat them as a client state. We were going to push them around the way we do all of our client states. And they didn't want to be humiliated in that way. So they picked a strong man who they perceived was going to stand up to the West and at least maintain some sense of Russian glory. And that's how we ended up here. This wasn't in a day. Could we have avoided this by, at this late date, saying, okay, Ukraine won't join NATO? Who knows? Maybe not.
Worth a shot.
There were a lot of economic consequences that Russia is going to face for this. So maybe that would have, maybe if we had agreed, we're going to pull the missiles out. There's
I think it could have at least
it.
bought us time.
That's how That's how we resolved the Cuban Missile Crisis. Like
Right.
Putin might have said, well, it was good enough for Khrushchev. It's good enough for me. They're going to
Yeah,
pull
he
the
could have went
missiles
back
out.
and bragged to his people, look what I got the West to bend
Right.
to,
It might
and
have
start around
worked.
a little bit. It what could have at least bought us some time, and I feel like we just didn't even try.
Well, it's a result of decades of mismanaged foreign policy that got us here, though.
I mean, the fact that there was no repercussions for Crimea, virtually, like, they're just like, oh, that happened. Well, let's whatever.
Well, but I mean, Obama was very clear, actually, that we were not going to go to war over Ukraine. I mean, he made that clear back then.
Sure, and I understand the U.S. position. We don't negotiate with terrorists. As much as I. That may not always be the answer.
Not only that, do we really want to put boots on the ground in Ukraine?
No, I'm not. I don't think we. I'm not even saying we should. I'm not a military strategist. I'm not. I think diplomacy was our best shot, and we're probably past that at this point. But I just feel like nobody did anything after Crimea, so why would he have any kind of incentive to not do the exact same thing?
Sure. I mean, this is extreme.
Oh yeah. Oh no, it's an escalation for sure.
Going in and actually going beyond the two separatist regions and going for Kiev, really going in. There's definitely a retro feel to this. It's definitely what is this, 1945? The Russians. Really, the Russians are on the march into Europe, and we're moving up the Western forces to the borders. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, there's something very.
I'm not saying there was anything awesome anybody could have done about Crimea. I don't have any great ideas, but I'm saying the fact that nothing was done. It's what did. He's just cool. Let me do that.
We did some sanctions, I think, if I recall.
Sanctions don't actually hurt the fucking government. They just hurt the people.
It does hurt the people, and also I would imagine that part of Putin's calculus here is that he's going to be able to move his financial activities into the Asian sphere. Mm-hmm. I'd be very surprised if he hadn't had some conversations with the Chinese.
Yeah, he had a fucking backup
before
plan
he made this move.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
About how he's going to handle the sanctions and so on.
Yeah.
And hey, this could be an overall chess move of Putin saying, well, the center of world gravity is moving east, and I'm going to help push it in this direction and demonstrate the weakness of the West.
Well, sure.
And I'm going to demonstrate that the West, in the end, can do whatever they want with sanctions. We've got our own.
We're real fucking vulnerable, weak looking right now with the January 6th and the convoys, and we on a national stage, we look real weak right now.
We're not going to do anything. We're going to put sanctions. Donald Trump got into a bunch of trouble again. He said, I tried to pull up the video of this, but it's 7 minutes long. I'm not going to, and the audio's lousy, so I'm not going to bother trying to find this quote in that video. But he put out, he spoke at Mar-a-Lago a couple hours ago, calling Putin, quote, pretty smart in, quote, taking over a country for $2 worth of sanctions. Is what he said. And he's right. He's right. The guy knows we're not going to do it. He knows we're not going to put boots on the ground there. Yeah. And so he's moving in. He's Tony Soprano, man. And what's the guy's name? Davey. Davey has the shop that he's looting there. Right? So that's Joe Biden is Davey.
I heard Trump said Russia was...
It should be let's go Davey, not let's go Brandon. Let's go Davey. And, Putin is fucking Tony Soprano, making a gangster movie. He's a gangster. He's a thug.
He is a gangster.
And that's what this is right here. And what are we going to do? We're not going to do fuck all. And what we could have, and that's my point, is that this bloodshed could have been avoided had we just been willing to take another one on the chin.
Right.
Because Afghanistan was a signal that we would take one on the chin.
Oh, it just seems like it was worth the fucking shot.
And, that comes with consequences. One of the reasons why we praise the Afghanistan withdrawal, and, Russell and I and Eular even did not praise the way it was conducted. One of the reasons why we didn't is because when it goes that badly, when the Taliban is back in power before your ass is even out the door, okay, that signals that we are not only weak, but that we are willing to be humiliated. And we are willing to be embarrassed. And so Putin says, well, while you're at it, then
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of my face. Right.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden we're trying to get some sort of like street cred back. And no, you don't push us around. Bullshit. He knows. Fuck me. No, fuck you.
Right.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? We're not gonna do fucking anything except pray for Ukraine for 2 weeks until whatever. Until Kanye's
all
album
Facebook
comes
is going to
out,
be profile pictures of blue and yellow flags over your face.
Right,
like, that's what's going to happen. And that's fine.
That's
do that, but that's going to be the extent of anything, or at least unless it escalates further.
But that's the other thing. So you have my wife took my phone because she wants to order some food on it. But I was going to look up on Twitter.
How about pray for Libya? How about that? We should put up the Libyan flag. They have slave markets there because we took out Gaddafi. So how about why don't we pray for Libya?
I'm going to find the David Axelrod tweets.
I'm sure that you give me 3 guesses.
Hold on, David Axelrod. My wife took my phone, so I could have just looked it up on my phone in 2 seconds, but she needed it. He put out a tweet that we have to stand up for our values, and that's the talking point out of the White House. That's what Jen Psaki said. If gas goes up to $5 a gallon, well, defending our values comes at a cost. Values. Like I said, the Taliban was back in power before we even left Afghanistan. We were 1 hour out the door, and the Taliban took over Afghanistan. And now what? We have to all of a sudden front burner this because our values are at stake? Again,
it's because our defense contractors are hungry.
Slaughter and starvation of 250,000 Yemeni men, women, and children at the hands of the Saudis, who we helped throughout that process. Now this is our values are on the line. This is bullshit. This is propaganda. And it's unbelievable, by the way, how even a lot of the Bernie left, who for years was branded as stooges of Vladimir Putin, are now indistinguishable from the resistance libs in, fuck Putin. Putin is the villain. He's the bad guy. Okay. Again, what does that mean? What does that actually mean? This is all about how we feel. That's what the Salisbury Steak Man said. We did a video of Tucker and Tulsi talking about this. It's a little bit obsolete now, so we'll probably I thought the segment came out good. We recorded it yesterday. We were planning on putting it out this morning, but then I woke up to find out it's kind of passe. Right. That'll be up for paid Substack subscribers and Patreon members, though, because I do think there's some value in it. But what he said was, look, what's at stake here? What all you get out of vilifying Vladimir Putin is moral satisfaction. And he's right. That's all you get out of it is moral satisfaction. What difference does it actually make on the ground?
Right.
That Vladimir Putin is the villain here makes none. It makes absolutely none.
Speaking of on the ground, if you go to Keaton, go to my Facebook page. I don't know if you can share it. I found a 1-minute montage video on Twitter that was just over the last 6 hours of just the shelling and the guns and whatever. I don't know if that's something that's worth sharing, but it's just a little 1-minute video montage I found on Twitter.
Can you drop the link in the chat? Because when I do these streams, I have about 7 windows open at once. So if you could try and drop that in the chat, it would just make it a little bit easier for me. Should I go back to our Caitlin Johnstone piece?
Sure.
All right, let me just see here. Fucking lost that now too.
This
is what happens when you do an impromptu live stream. Okay, I will find it here. Boom, it's back. All right, we'll go on to point number 2. Don't worry, we're not going to do all 12 of these, folks. We'll be here.
Sure.
Number 2, narrative managers have been working furiously to quash all discussion of number 1, like our good friend Michael McFall here. Please don't give Putin propagandists a platform on your media platforms. Well, we are Putin propagandists ourselves, so that's we take care of that all one shot. There's a time and place for hearing 2 sides of an issue. This tragic moment in European history is not one of them. Do not give false equivalency to voices of evil and voices of good.
That is just amazing. This man is a fucking professional journalist.
Again, what voices of good?
That's incredible. That's who are the good guys?
Who are the voices of good?
Exactly are you talking about?
Yeah. What voices of good? This is the whole point. And this is the thing that the libs really can't reckon with. And this is why Trump and McConnell are so reviled, is because
there are no good guys,
and that Democrats therefore have to be these godlike, saviors, because they just can't reckon with a world in which there are no good guys to be found, which there are no heroes.
I mean, I get that. That's scary. That's
it's scary. It's right. And no, it's not a comfortable world to live in. I totally get that. Number 3. It's funny how everyone keeps referring to this as a World War II style invasion instead of a U.S. style invasion. Yes, excellent point. It's not like examples of military invasions ended in the 1940s. Speaking of which, number 4, here's Representative Eric Swalwell. Kiev and Kharkiv are being bombed. This is fantastic. The largest invasion on our planet since World War II. Republicans are rooting for the Russians. God be with Ukraine and democracy.
It doesn't involve the U.S. directly, maybe.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, the way we went into Iraq,
shock and awe was pretty bad.
Yeah,
we didn't half-ass it. We didn't pussy that exactly. These people actually believe it's legitimate to call this the largest invasion on our planet since World War II. Just snip out all the pages from the history books between 1950 to 2003 to make Western imperialists feel good about themselves.
I think maybe it's the largest invasion that involves all white people.
That
could be. It's the largest white.
Like we're not taking out a bunch of brown kids.
The largest
so
one where
now
white
we care.
people are not bombing brown people.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
White on white invasion since World War II. Yeah, exactly.
That actually might be. That actually, I think probably is true.
I think so.
Yeah.
That makes Vladimir Putin more woke than the United States.
Yeah, I guess so.
One after the white.
This is going to go down in history as Woke War 1.
Woke War
1. Don't give the press any headline ideas. You're going to just be every podcast name is going to be that for days.
So we should call it Woke War 1.
Right.
The primary risk of nuclear war is not that anyone will choose to start one. It's that one could be triggered by miscommunication, malfunction, or misunderstanding amid the chaos and confusion of escalating Cold War tensions. This nearly happened repeatedly in the last Cold War. She put a Kyle Kulinski tweet up here. Home wrecking Kyle. Truly terrifying times. If Biden cuts off Russia from the global banking system in retaliation, very possible, if not likely, Russia has stated they consider that a declaration of war. People truly don't understand just how on the brink we are. I think that's a valid...
Hasn't anyone ever seen Red Dawn?
Right.
I think that's a fucking valid point. I think that's a valid point.
I think people realize it. And also, if we take it, like you were talking about, if they do anything with the banking, like he's made plans with China. He has. Like he's got backup plans. All the sanctions, all the kick him out of SWIFT, which I still haven't heard that he did. I did hear that he put holds on a bunch of oligarch personal bank accounts. I didn't dig too far into that though. But yeah, what are... I don't know.
I got a question from Edward, who's one of our patrons. He calls in on Sunday nights. He says, do you guys think that people who were not believing the intelligence being put out and were skeptical will ever hear the end of it? Thinking of that article that Taibbi did a couple weeks ago where people thought it was a false alarm.
I personally criticized that article on air, if you remember, because I felt that he missed the mark there.
And I don't think so, because... I wasn't sold until fucking Biden didn't even attempt diplomacy.
To me, it was never about the intelligence. I have been saying from the beginning, I've been comparing it to when Bush moved the troops into Iraq while still claiming that he wasn't planning to attack. And if you had half a brain, you knew the weapons inspectors can do everything we ask now. They didn't move that amount of material and men to not invade. They're gonna invade. They'll find.
Oh, right, yeah.
From the beginning of this,
imagery made that pretty clear.
As soon as Putin moved this amount of force into the region, I've been saying he's going to invade. It doesn't matter.
I still don't think that it makes diplomacy not worth trying, though.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, for me, it was never a question of whether U.S. intelligence is right or it's not right or whatever.
No,
I've gone on the assumption there's no fucking way Putin moved this kind of force into the region to send them home. Right. He's just not going to do that.
But he made a demand.
If he wasn't ready.
Yeah, maybe if we would have met his demands, he could have went back and strutted and peacocked and like, possibly. Look what I did, look what I made the West do, yay me.
At the very least, it was clear that if his demands were not met, he was going in.
Oh yeah, and then we were just like,
what
fine,
makes
fuck
me
you.
feel like this was avoidable, as Johnston put, is that his demands were not like particularly unreasonable.
No,
it's not like saying
right.
he wanted Poland, Bulgaria, and Romania back. Right?
Exactly.
Like if he went out and said that, then you'd be like, okay, you're just making a demand to look like you're trying to be reasonable, but really you're not. He said he wanted an assurance that NATO would not expand into Ukraine, and he wanted the missiles out. And so what the, I mean, so
it's not
right,
not anytime soon. Like, oh. Sorry.
And the fact that Joe Biden said in an interview outside of his chopper there that he wasn't going to call Vladimir Putin, wasn't interested in talking to him. Well, why the fuck not? Well, I hope you're really proud of yourself now.
Yeah.
You know, big bad Joe Biden. I mean, come on, this is a fucking...
Biden does not call world leaders that he cannot accuse of being fat and that he cannot challenge to a push-up contest.
Look, the fact that you sent...
He doesn't feel comfortable if he can't resort.
The fact that you sent Kamala over there, it was a big enough tell. You don't send the vice president over. You're the president. You go. You go. And so what, you think Vladimir Putin's a moron?
And she's a particularly non-substantial VP.
Look, I'm sorry. To say it was avoidable, maybe a bit of a stretch, but you could have certainly taken measures to avoid it. It's not like something that like you could. It's not like
we could have tried something. Anything.
Right.
Not dive headfirst into feeding our defense contractors.
Yeah. And look, I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
Kids in college.
Look, I'm not sure.
Right.
How badly these sanctions are going to hurt Russia or hurt the, as Tulsi and Tucker said, the power elite of Russia, to the extent that Putin cares about anyone or anything else. But he'd rather not deal with. Like, I think he would have taken a win if we had just said, okay,
at least temporarily I
don't see a downside to trying that.
Something, exactly.
What is the upside to not trying that? The upside is what? No. Joe Biden gets to look like a badass. Like anybody believes that? You're 1 foot in the fucking grave. Your wife leads you around by your hand when you walk off the stage. Okay? Nobody buys that you're a strong leader. No one. Everybody sees you for the decomposing corpse that you are, and now because you tried to pound your chest,
which is representative of our fucking credibility on the national stage.
Yeah, no, it's really just an incredible. It's just an incredible thing. I wish I had a couple more tweets. I'll try to find them. I'll pass the mic to you guys, and I'll try to find them. If I had my phone, I'd have them. But
right? Did you see that video that I sent you?
Is
that nice?
So
did you see that? Did you get that link I sent?
Would you drop it in the Zoom chat?
I did.
Okay, I will find it here.
Like I said, it's short. It's like 1 minute 8 seconds, but it's just like what's going on in the ground over there. It's
well. Also, okay. So look, Putin is exaggerating this Nazi thing that he's denazifying Ukraine. So I don't want to give any. I don't want to suggest that's for real. But a lot of the defense forces in the provinces whose independence he just recognized really are white supremacist Nazis. I mean, it's not that the country is white. The president is fucking Jewish. So you can't even say the Ukrainian
the prime minister
as a whole
too, right?
Are anti-Semitic.
Yeah, the prime minister too, right? Yeah,
that I'm not sure.
Like 90% sure.
But look, right here in very reputable Reuters, before we had a propaganda need to deny the existence of Nazi militias in this fight, here in Reuters a couple years ago, a January 28th demonstration in Kiev by 600 members of the so-called National Militia, a newly formed ultra-nationalist group that vows to, quote, use force to establish order, illustrates this threat. While the group's Kiev launch was peaceful, national militia members in balaclavas stormed a city council meeting in the central Ukrainian town of Cherkasy the following day, skirmishing with deputies and forcing them to pass a new budget. So this is a reality they're just going to pretend doesn't exist. Yes, some of the pro-Russian separatists in the eastern regions are fighting with Nazis. Doesn't mean Putin is in there to denazify the country. It doesn't mean that it's a Nazi country, but very much like the arguments with Syria that, some of the people that we were supporting were actually radical jihadists.
Right. I
Similarly,
think you have a better
here in
argument
Ukraine,
that the U.S. is a Nazi country.
yeah, well, some of the people aligned with U.S. interests and the Ukrainian government really are Nazi white supremacist militias. That's really there. Now that again, that doesn't mean that that's why Putin went. And of course,
that's everywhere though at this point. Like,
yeah,
name a country that isn't fucking trending like rightward, at least in some flank of its population.
Well, yes. I mean, we've discussed this quite a lot,
Right.
especially. Oh my God, man! You get if you legit get World War III now, like we were already going to the right in America. Right. Oh my! I don't even want.
Well, a poll came out that said only 26% of Americans want the country significantly involved in this Russia-Ukraine business. 26%.
Sounds about right.
So,
isn't that about what the polls were before getting involved in World War II or World War One? Like,
well, I mean, traditionally, Americans are skeptical of foreign entanglements.
Right.
You got to propagandize to them quite a bit to get them enthused about that sort of thing. And at this point, post Iraq, post Afghanistan, they don't trust their thought leaders. The only people who trust their thought leaders are people who've been able to ride out the pandemic on Zoom, who are never going to enlist, whose kids are never going to see the inside of a barracks. Those are the people who buy that kind of propaganda.
And also who are not going to be who are not going to be the most victimized by $5-6 a gallon gas. I mean, that's the other thing. When we talk about Putin having the upper hand here, we don't just talk
stock
about
markets have already tanked. Freaking
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
we're not just talking about like the geopolitics of it in terms of like boots on the ground militarily, right? It's not just like a big game of risk here. Like economically, inflation is very, very high right now. Gas prices are already very, very high right now. Putin knows that the United States is not in a position to say to its people, as the Biden administration already has started saying to its people, get ready, gas prices are going to go even higher because this is the price we pay to defend our values. I mean, I'm sorry, like,
which values are those exactly? Please.
Right. What values? What values? What values are we defending now that were not worth defending in Yemen, that were not worth defending in Afghanistan? Why did we let the Taliban take over before our ass was out the door in Afghanistan and not feel a reason to call that off to defend our values? But now, now we have to now we have to choke out the middle class, choke out the working class even harder to defend our values because Russia didn't want NATO expanding into Ukraine. Here, Laura, I'll play this video now. But we're going to take a quick commercial break, folks. Please enjoy this.
Oh, this is not. That's traffic getting out of Kiev.
I like the Iron Maiden billboard there. I didn't know they were They're gonna have to cancel the concert now.
You talked about them canceling the Iron Maiden concert because of the invasion. So on 9/11, literally the day of 9/11, hold on one second. My Facebook signed out. On 9/11, I was in 9th grade. My parents picked me up from school because, we're an hour north of New York City, so it was close. And we came home, and my grandparents are staying with me, my father's mother and father. And, they're old New York Jews. My grandfather really lived in his own world. He was not a political guy at all. Like had no political opinions whatsoever. My parents were in the World Trade Center the Thursday before 9/11 because they were going to work a jewelry show in the Twin Towers that holiday season. And so they kind of went to scope out the space or whatever. They were like giving the exhibitors a tour of the place, or whatever. So they were in the building the Thursday prior and talking about the show. And then I come home and, we're watching on TV. The towers are gone, debris everywhere, violence, bloodshed. We're wondering, we're under attack. What the fuck is going to happen? My grandfather sits there in the chair, doesn't say a word for hours and hours and hours. The first thing he says after a couple hours of just dead silence is, "So I guess they're going to cancel the show, huh?" On 9/11. Yeah.
Wow. Yep. Probably.
Not a political man.
Yeah. I actually was like 2 weeks out of Navy boot camp when 9/11 happened. Like I joined and then got out of boot camp, got to my schooling, and like a week and a half into my first schooling is what happened. They shut down the bases. Like it's crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's that's what's going on. Do we have anything else to say? I mean, look,
I just want to say, because we're touching a little bit on the stock market. Okay, so this is what happened today, because I did keep an eye on it.
Yeah,
I
please.
just found it really interesting. All right, so Russia invades, you get like the knee-jerk reaction before people really process the implications. So of course, I mean, in the pre-market, everything's down like 3%, which is a lot. It's unusual, very unusual. But over the course of the day, it starts to gain. And particularly the NASDAQ, which has been the weakest performer. I think NASDAQ closed up over 3% today. I think like 3.30 or something like that. Why? This is the amoral world of the stock market. Basically, they said, okay, Russia invaded, gas prices are going to go through the roof. So the Fed is going to have to be a lot gentler on raising rates than they were going to. And interest rates going up has been killing tech stocks because they're valued a lot on what they're going to do in the future. So if the future earnings are going to be worth less because of higher interest rates, then the company is perceived as being less valuable.
Isn't that how all stocks work?
No, that's particular to tech stocks because they're growth stocks. Like
Okay.
you're really that's why you got a company like Ford, which trades at, I don't know, 7 times forward earnings or something.
Sure.
Whereas you'll have some of these tech companies that trade at 132 times forward earnings because it's assumed like a company like Tesla has a much bigger future growth potential than an established company. Like,
Okay.
say,
Okay.
GE.
Sure. Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
So now, if the future interest rates are going to be so high that it's going to depress the future value of that company, then it's considered less value. It's not worth trading it at that kind of a multiple to earnings, right?
Okay.
So all the tech stocks have been getting killed as soon as the Fed said they were going to raise rates.
Right.
But today the NASDAQ had a huge rebound, and that's why, because all the traders are saying the Fed's not going to be able to raise interest rates at the level that they were going to.
Oh, geez.
The market was pricing in 7 interest rate hikes over the course of the year because of the inflation.
Sure.
And now they're saying,
now because
the Fed's not going to be able to do that with $6 a gallon gas.
Wow.
Because that basically the traders are saying this is going to fuck the economy so bad, it's going to cause a recession. So
right. So we don't need to trigger one.
Basically, that's the idea. You're going to raise interest rates to slow down the economy, to bring down inflation. So now all the traders are saying, well, they're not going to have to do that because this is going to destroy the economy without the Fed having to do anything.
Sometimes you get what you ask for.
Maybe we only get 1 interest rate hike. So
all right, I got one more question that I want to raise because, I messaged our friend Anishivani to see if he was feeling any better today. I haven't heard back. So, unfortunately, he couldn't be on the live stream here. But, this is a repeat of what I said in our last live stream show. He put out an op-ed the week before the 2020 vote and said, Donald Trump is the lesser evil. He's a lesser evil. Just watch. And he said, this shit is going to start happening again. We're going to start hearing about ISIS again, about terrorism again. There's going to be some major global conflict under Biden. He said, because Donald Trump, for everything that he was a wrench in this machine. He stopped the gears from turning.
It's true.
They couldn't pull any of this shit with him there because he wasn't a player. He was an outsider who wasn't invested in the project of empire, who wasn't interested in these geopolitical conflicts. He only saw things through the eyes of a large small businessman, which is what he is, right? And so, no, this ain't worth it.
We're not going to go to war with Russia. There'll be no merchandise on the shelves.
Right. We're not doing it. The gas prices are going to be too high. What the hell do we care? Ukraine in or outside of NATO? And this is what Anis and many others have contended the whole time, which is this is really why the establishment of both major parties hated Donald Trump as much as they did, because he was a blunt instrument just jammed into the cogs of the machine, stopped it all from turning. And turns out now that he's out, the wheels are turning again.
Great.
This whole evil machine is back in gear again. And he said that Donald Trump was, for everything he put a stop to that. He halted that. They couldn't operate with him there. And that looks to be fucking true.
Yeah, like Biden's
fucking true. And if this escalates right now, I mean, I'm already at the point. What's better now than it was under Donald Trump? What? Name one fucking thing.
Literally nothing. No, it's fucking mind-blowing.
More kids in cages under Biden than under Trump. More domestic drilling under Biden than under Trump.
More COVID deaths.
Life is
more
less
poverty,
affordable
more
now
evictions,
than it was under Trump. More COVID deaths. More eviction. No moratorium. Nothing. No minimum wage. No, none of the economic progress that they actually promised. And now this.
Yeah.
Hang on. But the mean tweet ratio has fallen into the basement.
That's true. Twitter is a nicer place now.
Twitter
it's not as funny. Twitter's not even funny anymore.
No. I don't spend a lot of time on Twitter, but I did pop over this morning looking for stuff. And the one thing I saw that stood out to me was, I don't even know who it was, but the tweet was something to the effect of, well, that's the last we're going to hear of COVID.
And all these fucking idiots are saying, all these fucking idiots are saying, maybe I shouldn't use that strong word. No, yeah, I will. All these fucking idiots are saying, the Ukrainians are lucky.
That's kind of my signature move.
The Ukrainians are lucky that they have an ally in the U.S. president as opposed to Donald Trump. Really? Did that video we just saw look like a lucky country to you? Did that look like a bunch of people who struck gold because we have a president who wants to pretend to pound his chest?
Thank God for the United States.
Right. I mean, what are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? They weren't going to join NATO anyway. All they had to do was come out and say it and give this gangster a victory. Give him a moral victory. Who
go back and
cares?
Stuff. Oh
give him the cash in the drawer and be done with it. That's all you had to do. That's all you had to do. And because we have a president who is not willing to do that, this happened. Donald Trump would have said, take the money and get the fuck out of our face.
Yeah, he's like, okay, fine, NATO done.
And I think the people of Ukraine would have been better off for it.
I think so too.
Better off than what we just saw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's real bad.
You want to make the case that they're lucky that there's not a Putin puppet in the White House? That's easy to say when bombs aren't falling on your fucking head.
Right.
I mean, like you were saying yesterday. I mean, Trump or today actually. Trump might have just
been a long day.
Trump might have just said, "Yeah, sure, no NATO, sure."
Yeah, take it.
Sure,
right, fine, done.
Whatever. I'm not so crazy about NATO anyway.
Easiest deal I ever made.
Yeah, right. He probably would have tweeted like, "Fuck it, we can leave NATO too. Fuck NATO." Like,
I'll tell you what.
Well, look, Trump's argument is it wouldn't have. Trump's argument is
oil and gas production.
His argument is this: it wouldn't have even come to that because he would not have sensed such a weak signal in the Afghanistan withdrawal, which is probably true.
Yeah,
it's probably true. And look, this is why we said when the Afghanistan withdrawal happened that Biden is really the only president who could have done this because Trump and Obama both had way too giant egos to lose a war. Right? They couldn't lose a war. Biden is the only fucking sad bastard who was actually able to just be like, yeah, we lost. That's it. We're done.
He is really the Willy Loman.
Yeah, he's the Willy Loman. He's the Willy Loman who, he's.
I used to be a very big man in Delaware.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Now we're out. He walks away with his head down, He's that guy. And being that kind of a leader, has consequences. Now, if you are willing to take another one on the chin in the form of this Russia-Ukraine thing, then I think there's value in that. I think we should wind down the empire.
If
I don't
that's
think
your
we should be the
leadership
world's
style,
and so if you're the guy who comes in and said, "Hey, we lost, we're packing it in, we're coming home," that's fine. I respect that. But what he tried to do was regain some cred that he lost in Afghanistan. And that's what the empire tried to do. Oh, no. We're not actually as pathetic as we look.
Are you sure it's that deep?
We are. And Vladimir Putin knows that. Vladimir Putin's not a dumb guy. And that's why we are where we are now, I think.
I literally think it comes down to the defense contractors. We ended Afghanistan and then we increased the military budget, and that money has to go somewhere. So now we've got Putin over here strutting his stuff, rattling cages, and the defense contractors are like, "Oh, yup."
Yeah,
there's not going to be
that's happened to Boeing stock in quite a while.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, that's where push really comes to shove. Yeah. There's a 26% favorability rating for increased United States involvement. That's putting it very mildly, by the way. That's the poll saying, should we be more involved? Only 26% approval. You ask that same poll, should we put boots on the ground? You're lucky to get 10% approval.
Oh, yeah.
And the only people who would approve that are the fucking pussy hat people who are not signing up. Right? So
what do you guys think we should do?
You have a situation here where the only people who would actually support a war are the fucking shit libs who are not going to go fight the war.
Right.
This is a situation where you have the people who you would need to go fight the war are going to be dead set against the war. And you really want to have a civil war in this country? You really want shit to go down here? You really want January 6th to look like a picnic? Go ahead. Order the military into Ukraine, see what happens. We can't do it. We can't do it.
Well, we're not going to
do it.
Biden unequivocally said we're not.
We can't because then that would violate all the NATO treaty shit, and that would that's Pandora's box there.
We wouldn't go. The country would collapse. The kind of people you need to fight this war are the military people. You need the good old boys from North Carolina to strap up and go. They're not going to know. There will be a mutiny before that happens. You need the Let's Go Brandon people if you want to go fight a war now.
Yeah.
You think the Let's Go Brandon people are going to go for this fucking bullshit? There will be a real revolution in this country before that happens, and they know that, which is why all they could do is threaten sanctions, and Putin knows that the sanctions aren't really going to touch him in any way.
Yeah, what is that? That hasn't seemed to make the slightest difference.
We lost, and you could have perhaps avoided this by just admitting in advance our hand sucks. We're weak. We're a fading empire. We're dying. We're on our way out. So fine. No,
and at least that would have bought some time to.
Could have tried that. There was no fucking reason in the world not to have tried that.
Exactly.
For the
Nothing
fact
to
that
lose.
Tried to save face into tricking a rival imperial power into believing that we are a bigger player than we are. And it's very easy, very, very easy for a man of half of Putin's savviness to see through that.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's why we are where we are. Anything else? I feel like I said that for a third time, but I don't know.
Sure, but I'm with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
What do you guys think we should
Carmen
do?
says
What do you think is going to happen?
Because we're too crazy and don't make much sense.
All right, so 2 questions. What do you guys think we should do next? That's
what my ex-wife said.
What? Right. What do you guys think we should do next, and what do you think is likely to happen? So, I thought we started World War III in January 2020.
I think we have found our slogan.
What's that?
Too crazy and
don't make sense.
We're too crazy if we don't make sense.
I think we make perfect sense, but maybe it's just a type.
You guys are too crazy. That's funny. What did you say, Laura? What should we do?
I said 2 questions. Both of you guys, what do you guys each think we should do now that what's done is done? We can talk about what we should have done.
Give the man what he wants.
But wait, that's done, right? He's already invaded. So what do you think we should do now?
That's done. I mean,
it's not necessarily.
I do think that this is the Archduke Ferdinand moment. I don't think it's going to spiral as quickly. But I think we're going to look back, and this is going to be seen as the inciting incident that led to a chain of events that led to a world war.
Well,
I'm
if
with
that
you.
happens,
That's
then
what
you
I
got to
think.
give it up to Anis and everybody else who said that Donald Trump was the lesser fucking evil in 2020.
mean,
How could you argue with that? If
How
that prediction
depressing is
comes
that,
true, how could you
though?
possibly argue with that?
How depressing is that, though? Like, that
you
is
just
true.
sound crazy, Keith. You're not making any sense.
They make perfect sense, and that's why it's so sad.
I don't see how it's even a question. I don't see how it's
No,
even a
I'm with
contest.
you. No, I'm with you.
This is what we do.
Not if you're paying
We
attention.
troll our own listeners.
That's what my brother
That is
said.
the
You know, my
secret to
brother,
our
my
success.
brother
If they
actually told
deserve
me.
it.
That's the secret sauce.
My
Kyle
brother
won't do
actually
it.
told me on the phone. He says, "So your guys' business model as a podcast is to present yourself one way, lure your listeners and your followers in, and then completely
Talk
piss
shit
them
to them.
and enrage them into
Yeah, well,
listening to you again. That's your plan to grow a
I
show."
tend to piss people off when I talk politics, so. Oh.
But in
I
reality,
don't see how it's even a question. I honestly don't even see how it's even.
I'm with
a
you,
question.
100%. Yeah.
How? If you say if COVID was gone, if COVID deaths were way down, you could say that. Well, at least you saved 500,000 Americans. No, nothing.
I mean,
I can't think of a single thing. I can't think of one single thing that's better now than it was a year and a half ago.
No, I'm with you, and I can definitely think of things that would be
American
different
Rescue
now.
Plan was larger than it.
Okay, so
Right.
we're 1,400.
I want to be fair.
Right,
I wanna be
give
fair.
me my $600. Where's my $600, bitch?
No, not that part. Of it.
No, I know.
like overall.
Sure.
Overall.
Yeah, but the tax credit is
Now
gone.
the stimulus probably would have been the same or better under Trump. Like the
Right.
payout.
That's what I'm saying.
No, he had already agreed to that. So no, but the overall package wouldn't have been as large. But like I want to be fair so that we have credibility when we go after him. Like,
right.
okay, so
And things would have been
what
different,
was different
but-
under Biden? That's really the only thing.
Right. And there's no way to like predict what would be happening now under Trump currently, but all we can say unequivocally that we are worse off than we were a year and a half ago.
Yes.
Yes, I don't think there's any question about that. Not even close. Not even close. I mean, not even close. I mean, this is I've never seen a political self-immolation like this ever.
Well,
Where now you have the press secretary saying gas is going to go up more. Get ready. We're defending our values. So,
I'm
you know,
really glad I drive a Prius.
Well, you also have a press secretary who recently stated that she got back into politics after binge watching The West Wing and being inspired by it.
Yeah,
So that
she's not my
explains a lot.
favorite person.
That explains quite a lot.
Yeah, the next press secretary will be like, I watched Mad Max Fury Road, and that really got me off the map. So, I should go back into politics.
I said, how cool would it to be the press secretary in that world? And I think we're going towards that world. I want to be that press secretary.
You be my press secretary. Sorry.
Yeah, you at least expected them. This is what amazes me, like with the supply chain stuff. What they can't call in the National Guard, like they can't call in the military, like they can't in some way do something outside.
No, they're all being used as substitute teachers right now.
The vice president and the secretary of transportation have their respective jobs for two respective reasons. In the vice president's case is because the Democratic Party really wants people to like her.
Right.
And in the secretary of transportation's case, it's because a lot of Democratic voters liked him. That's it. They have those jobs because they either, the party brass either wants them to be liked or they already are liked. Pete Buttigieg has that job because a lot of people voted for him and they thought it was nice that he got a carrot.
I'm not even talking about Buttigieg. Like I agree with you, so I don't even factor him in. I don't even consider him somebody who can do anything because he's only there for political reasons. Biden, like, why is Biden not sitting down with his people and saying, listen, we got to solve, I mean, not now, months ago. I mean, now would be nice too, but months ago, like, hey, we can't have this. There have to be resources we could have brought to bear on this problem until it got resolved.
This is what I mean. I've never seen a suicide like this. I've never seen a party win win the presidency, and just tell the other side, here, you take it. We don't want it. We don't want it.
I mean, I would argue Obama did that to a degree, maybe not to this degree, but
no, because I mean, look,
Obama was trying.
He was trying, and when I say trying, I don't mean trying to do good things, like he gave up on single payer healthcare before he even tried, but like he wanted the Obamacare website to work better than it did.
Sure, right? But I just mean he come off
better.
He capitulated on everything he tried to do. He tried to negotiate with to such a degree that it all became so watered down as to be useless. ACA is a perfect example.
Oh, sure. Yes. No, absolutely. But he wanted that program to be popular and successful.
Sure, but he made so many concessions that it wasn't.
Well, sure, but I'm saying, like, he wanted that to work. He wanted it to go over well. This is a party that just like doesn't even want, like, they don't even want it. They're watching gas prices go up.
I see your point.
And they're just saying, hey, there's nothing we can do. They're watching, the port of Long Beach backed up halfway to fucking Russia with people try to get in. And they're like, yeah, I mean,
No, it's like, what should we do? Send every house a COVID test? Oh, yeah, do that. No, yeah, that was the Jen Psaki, like, should we send every house a COVID test? Yeah, you should. Oh, okay. Well, we should do that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Okay, yeah, I'm with you. Sorry. Yeah.
All right, I think we should probably wrap up.
Getting a little long.
What do you think? This will be up on the podcast.
Thank you to our new patron, Carmen.
Thank you to our new patron, Carmen. We're too crazy and we don't make much sense. I put the link to patreon.com/do dissidents. I'm also going to put the link to our Substack if you guys do want to help us out. Good news about this for Substack is you really don't have to worry about saving any money for anything now. No real long-term plans anybody should be making. Even if you can't become a paid Substack subscriber, my name's Keaton Weiss.
And if you think you're going to store food and survive the apocalypse, none of that shit lasts forever.
No.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
No, if you got to get through longer than 2 weeks, you need to do something completely different.
Yeah.
Not only that, how are you going to defend it? I mean,
right.
Unless you already know how to handle firearms, it's a little late in the game to learn, kid.
Yeah, that's true.
If you can become a Substack subscriber, just click that link. You can join for $5 a month, or you can join for free. Even if you join for free, it really helps because we release stuff quite often. We're going to have some exclusive content dropping pretty soon for paid members, but even if you're not a paid member, be sure to sign up for free. Anyway, alrighty, folks, that about wraps us up. We have said enough crazy nonsensical shit for one afternoon, and we hope that
was without the peyote buttons.
Yeah, right. We'll see you guys
wait until Sunday.
Yeah, right. Wait until Sunday.
You don't know what I got over here.
We'll see you guys on Sunday. Thanks very much. Be safe, be well. Bye-bye.